Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 29th of November, now it's 22:10 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for a day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second update will be a little bit late on my Patreon page, in which I will share additional news that will be reported by Russian media during the day, and also some ideas that I have about further development of our project, our channels, as I usually do on Patreon, where I'm several times a week uploading videos of combined informal talks and news summaries. That's been said. Let's talk about news now, and plenty of news to unpack, really. But I will start with a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. According to reports from Russian media outlets and Russian language pages, also Russian Defense Ministry, we can assume that there was no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. Operational pause, mainly holding all along the line of contact, although there are some exceptions. Some sectors are more active than others. First of all, of course, Donetsk sector, northern and the southern flanks of Donetsk sector, Avdiivka and Bakhmut. So when it comes to Avdiivka, according to some reports, Russian forces continue their local scale offensive operations to improve current positions on the northern flank of Avdiivka. There are some reports that Russian units made decision to withdraw from western side of railway, but another channels are reporting that Russian forces are still on the western part and even controlling some parts of Sipovo settlement, very small village right next to a railway. Hard to know for sure because there is no video or photo confirmation. But still many channels are reporting that Russian side significantly improved their positions on the northern flank of Avdiivka, and also, by the way, southern side, this so-called industrial zone and Dachi area are under full Russian control. There are some video confirmations of this development, and also we had reports that Russian forces conducted local scale offensive operations in direction of Peromaiskaya and Severnaya. This is also southern flank of Avdiivka. We are talking about local scale offensive operations because Avdiivka itself is in operational encirclement, and nothing can go inside or out of Avdiivka without being noticed by Russian forces and without being targeted. You know my take on Avdiivka. Story. My understanding is that Russian forces will wait for several weeks, and close to January, probably we will see final assault on Ukrainian units in Avdiivka area when severe lack of reinforcement, munition, or any supplies whatsoever, and also weather conditions will significantly downgrade battle capabilities of Avdiivka garrison, and also of course negotiations, secret, let's say, negotiations between Russian and Ukrainian side in this area. It's obvious at this point that Russian side is trying to persuade Ukrainian military personnel, including officers, to stop fighting for Zelensky and his criminal associates and the geopolitical agenda of their Western masters, lay down arms and surrender. And we will see more and more instances that this direct work with the Ukrainian personnel is quite effective, and more Ukrainian militaries are making right decision to save their lives, basically, and stop fighting for Zelensky's regime. So all these factors combined will, I guess, give Russian side good ground to conduct final push on Avdiivka somewhere middle of December or close to January. When it comes to northern northern flank of Donetsk direction, Bakhmut and surrounding areas. According to latest reports, Russian forces continue offensive, local-scale offensive operations in Andreevka and Klishevka direction, and according to some reports, these settlements again are under Russian control. We did see some video confirmations from Klishevka, but not for Andreevka yet. But I guess this settlement is also under Russian control, or at least in the gray zone. And when it comes to northern sector, northern flank of Bakhmut, we have reports that Russian forces conducted a rapid offensive, local-scale offensive operation in direction of Khramova, and forward units are in the Khramova itself at this point. Some channels are reporting that this settlement is under full Russian control at this point. Some channels are a little bit skeptical about this. Let's see what kind of information we will receive today, but it's quite possible or highly likely that Khramova is at least partially under Russian control. Also, Russian forces conducted local-scale offensive operations in direction of Ivanovskaya, although the settlement, at least for now, still remains under Ukrainian control. And also, of course, Belagorovka, Bogdanovka, by the way, in between Chisov Yar and Bakhmut on the northern side is becoming disputed between the sides, because according to some channels, forward units of Russian armed forces are right on the outskirts of this settlement, and in upcoming days probably we will see beginning of the military operation for control over the Bogdanovka, clashes between the sides. This is when it comes to Donetsk direction, most sector that most activities are taking place. Now let's go from southern sectors to northern sectors one by one. Kherson direction, no significant changes since artillery duels between the sides. Mainly Ukrainian forces did try to conduct some local scale offensive operations in direction of this forested area. Once again, from Krinky village, by the way, central part of this village is controlled by Ukrainian forces still. And according to Riber, Russian biggest military channel, Ukrainian side did try to establish some positions in this forested area. Main goal for them is to cut this main road between Oleshki and Novaya Kakhovka. But Russian side did monitor movements of Ukrainian forces, and they opened heavy artillery fire in direction of Ukrainian units, and they were forced to retreat again towards this central part of Krinky, which is almost totally destroyed at this point. Some channels began reporting that Russian side was conducting offensive operations in direction of the central part of Krinky. Also, I was kind of skeptical because I did not see logic in that kind of move. And later on, yesterday, we did see some reports that this central part of Krinky is still under Ukrainian control. And when I say I find it illogical if Russian side will conduct offensive operation in direction of the central part, I mean that this sector, left bank, to work as a trap, Russian side needs to constantly keep alive hopes of Kiev regime, by the way, not the Ukrainian military personnel in this region, but Kiev regime, that they can achieve something on the left bank. And to do so, Russian side needs to give some windows to Ukrainian forces, and Krinky, the central part of this village, is one of those windows. Also, of course, this small area, small foothold that Kiev regime has on the right next to Antonovsky Bridge, destroyed Antonovsky Bridge, and also railway bridge. And I remind you that Ukrainian forces had some foothold on islands, by the way, not far away from Golaya Pristan. There may be some small units scattered on this island also, but yet again, Russian side, of course, can push all Ukrainian units out of left bank, but in that case, left bank will lose its attractiveness, let's say, or its effectiveness as a trap for Ukrainian units. And you know my take on entire this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive in Kherson region. I was saying from very beginning that this is trap created by Russian forces, and because Kiev regime is unable to learn anything whatsoever, they will fail to this trap, and they did. So I believe Russian side will, of course, keep control over the entire situation, but same time will allow these small footholds to exist, at least for time being, because as long as these small footholds are on the left bank, Kiev regime, regardless of casualties, will continue send more and more units towards the left bank. And we are exactly observing this situation in this direction. But overall situation is under full Russian control, and nothing is happening that can influence this sector of the front line. Russian side is in full control. Also, by the way, when it comes to Zaporozhye and Donetsk sectors of the front line, we have some minor changes. Ukrainian units did again try to conduct some local scale offensive operation from Rabotina to Novoprokopovka direction, but yet another Ukrainian armed group ended up being destroyed as a result of this suicidal operation. I truly don't understand what is wrong with Ukrainian military personnel, why they are making same mistake time after time. When they're going to realize that entire this Orekhov bridgehead is a trap, and any movement that they are conducting is a suicidal operation. Well, at some point they have to realize this, because since the beginning of this so-called counteroffensive, after all, it's like so many months passed. Counteroffensive began on 4th of June, I remind you, dear friends. And since that time, all that Kiev regime or Ukrainian forces managed to do in this sector is to establish control. Somewhat, even in this case, it's a somewhat, partial control over the Rabotina village and Natsi and around these fields, these empty fields. And they lost, according to Russian Defense Ministry, more than 20,000 military personnel just in this area, by the way, and hundreds of military equipment. And what else is going to happen so that Ukrainian units in this area will realize that they are in trap, and best they can do is to lay down arms and surrender, or just withdraw? I don't know. I don't get it really, because it's just too simple. You don't have to be some head of general staff, for God's sake, to understand this primitive stuff. But yet again, we are seeing on daily basis when these Ukrainian units are thrown into these suicidal counteroffensives and are totally destroyed by Russian artillery. They are not even seeing Russian soldiers. They are eliminated from kilometers away by Russian artillery. Usually, that's what happens. And overall, when it comes to Zaporozhye sector of the front line, Russian side is in full control, of course, absolutely, and only a matter of time when we will see full encirclement of Ukrainian grouping of forces in Orekhov bridgehead area. Those Ukrainian military personnel have no chance to achieve anything whatsoever. Best they can do is to lay down arms and surrender. That's it. And when it comes to southern Donetsk direction, main hotspot is, of course, Vremyevsky salient area. And yesterday afternoon, we received some reports from, and I did share information on my Telegram page also, that Russian armed forces again advanced west of Staromayorsk and established complete control over the forest belt, which is South Donetsk direction also. And we are talking about this sector here, by the way. Russian forces advanced west of Staromayorsk and established control over these forested lines that you can see on this map. I guess it's only a matter of time, yet again, that when Ukrainian units probably will be forced to withdraw from Urozhaina and Staromayorsk. But overall, operational pause is holding, of course, on South Donetsk sector of the front line. Also, these local scale offensive operations that are conducted by Russian forces just yet another step to further improve current positions. I did spoke about Donetsk direction. When it comes to northern sectors of the front line, from Seversk and Liman up to Kupiansk, no significant changes. It's mainly artillery duels between the sides, reckoning force operations, and local scale skirmishes. We did yet again receive informations that Russian forces entered at Sinkovka settlement and established partial control over this village. But at this point, dear friends, we had so many reports about Sinkovka that it's truly difficult to say what is going on around this settlement. There are even some video confirmations that Russian forces are inside the Sinkovka. But let's wait a day or two. Maybe this settlement will become under full Russian control in upcoming days. That's quite a possibility. But overall, even if so, Russian forces are for a long time now in good enough positions to conduct large-scale offensive operations all along the northern sectors of the front line. And to do so, of course, they are required to have a green light from Russian General Staff. And this green light will come only, in my understanding yet again, only in late January, early February, when we will see clear indicators that Ukrainian defense lines are collapsing all along the front line, not just on the northern sectors, but all along the front line. And this is it. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. During the previous night, dear friends, Russian armed forces conducted yet another missile and drone strikes on military and logistical infrastructure of Kiev regime. And according to some reports, one of the main tasks of this for these strikes were destruction of Ukrainian airfields. And I did see reports, and I did even share on my Telegram page information that at least 3 airfields on Kiev's controlled territory was significantly damaged and destroyed. Later on, I guess Russian Defense Ministry will share with us additional information about these strikes. And now, before I continue with the additional news, let me, dear friends, thank all of you for your time and attention. And of course, a special thank to members of our community that are supporting my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without your attention and support, this channel, this project would not exist for sure. So thank you very much. Let's continue with the additional news. Now, TASS news agency is reporting that this morning, early hours of this morning, Ukrainian drone was shot down by Russian air defense systems in Moscow region, in Podolsk area, by the way, which is almost like right next to Moscow. I guess yet another attempt from Kiev regime to strike Russian capital with a drone, but Russian air defense systems were ready for such development and neutralize Ukrainian drone. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian frigate from Black Sea did launch 4 caliber missiles in direction of logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime. And on my Telegram, I did share video footage of missile launches. You can check that video. According to Russian Defense Ministries, all targets were hit by caliber missiles. Also, Kommersant newspaper is reporting that when it comes to carriers of caliber cruise missiles, yesterday, dear friends, in St. Petersburg, Russian fleet did receive, there was a ceremony held to transfer diesel-electric submarine Mozhaisk. Mozhaisk is a city in Russia, and this submarine has a name of this city, Mozhaisk. So this submarine, this electric submarine, was transferred to Russian fleet, and it will serve in Pacific Fleet, as I understand. And all these submarines, by the way, that are Varshavianka project, are carrying caliber caliber missiles, and they are one of the most quiet submarines in the world. NATO, if I'm not mistaken, NATO designation for these submarines are black holes because they are almost invisible for sonars. Let's continue, and RIA Novosti is reporting about statements of Vladimir Medinsky, who was leading Russian negotiation group in 2022 in Istanbul, when between Moscow and Kiev talks were held about ceasefire, and Medinsky did comment on a recent interview of Ukrainian leader of the negotiation team, David Arachamia, who basically openly admitted that sides Moscow and Kiev was basically very close to sign an agreement about a ceasefire, and then Western ruling elites intervened. They sent Boris Johnson, who basically derailed these peace talks between the capital and Vladimir Medinsky, who was leading negotiation team from Russian side, did said during his interview that it's not just Boris Johnson that visited Kiev to derail peace talks between the sides, but also head of State Department of US and head of defense and defense secretary of US. Both went to Kiev and influence and pressure basically Zelensky and his associates to stop negotiations with Russia. Yet again, this story, by the way, this interview of David Arachamia that he gave to one of the Ukrainian TV channels a few days ago, last week, are not going away, and we will see waves of echo of that interview for quite a while now, because in my understanding, this interview of Arachamia was a warning shot from Kiev towards Western ruling elites that if they will not receive finances and military weapons that was promised to them by Boris Johnson and Washington, head of State Department and the Defense Secretary, they will continue to share some more and more information with public. So this is clear attempt of chantage or blackmail from Kiev towards towards their own Western masters, by the way. So you tell me how desperate Zelensky and his associates are, that they are now biting, or at least trying to bite, their masters. It's not gonna end well for Zelensky and his people, man. I will tell you that. But they are trying. Let's continue. RT is reporting that, and dear friends, of course, we should always remember that all those casualties since March, April of 2022, all those casualties and all destruction that was done since then is on a responsibility fully lays on Kiev regime, of course, and on Western ruling class, mainly on Washington and London, although, of course, Brussels and other major capitals in Europe are also responsible, obviously. Let's continue, and RT is reporting that, according to press spokesman of Russian President Dmitry Peskov, NATO is slaughtering Ukrainians to fight Russia. He made a comment about NATO yesterday during his conversation with the journalists, and let me read several sentences here. NATO is sticking to its plan to contain Russia by sacrificing countless Ukrainian lives, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov has said. His comments came after the bloc Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg argued that the alliance was trying to prevent further escalation of tensions with Russia. Speaking to reporters on Tuesday, Peskov pointed out that no matter what statements come out of NATO, the bloc was originally conceived and structured in a way that essentially make it an instrument of confrontation with Russia and means of containing it. So far, the alliance has not abandoned its plans to contain Russia and slaughter the Ukrainian people as ritual victims in the fight against Russia, Peskov said. Nothing that Moscow was planning its course of action, taking these realities into account. Noting that Moscow was planning its course of actions, taking these realities into account. That, well, NATO exactly the instrument against Russia, and it definitely sacrificing lives of Ukrainians in its attempt to somehow contain development of Russia, further development of Russia. So that's a response of Kremlin on statements from Stoltenberg. RT is reporting that EU officials fear Ukrainian military may collapse. And this is also, this article on RT is based on other article in Washington or Wall Street Journal, sorry. So let me read several sentences from here. EU officials fear that Ukraine's position in its conflict with Russia could unravel this winter. The Wall Street Journal reports on Monday. This comes, according to the article, aimed heavy losses for Kyiv troops during their counteroffensive, which was launched in early June, and dysfunctional military conscription systems pledged by corruption. Since the conflict with Ukraine escalated in February 2022, Western states have actively supported Kyiv by sending military aid. Months after the conflict spiraled, NATO member states issued a joint statement saying massive sanctions and heavy political costs have been imposed on Russia. We remain determined to maintain coordinated international pressure on Russia. Well, Wall Street Journal probably correct, and the Western ruling classes kind of fearing that Ukrainian militaries will collapse, and they will. They will. Just give it a month or two, and we will see collapse of Ukrainian defense lines all along the front line. That is my understanding, at least. But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that. And dear friends, I don't think this is a big surprise for Western ruling class. I guess they knew, of course, they knew from very beginning that that's how this conflict is gonna end. That Ukrainian Kyiv regime have never had any chance to achieve any victory against Russia. But they were sacrificed because main goal for Western ruling class, in my understanding, was to demonize Russia. That's why they provoked this conflict, to demonize Russia, to establish Iron Curtain between Russia and Europe. And they achieved this. And to increase and to force European states to significantly increase their defense spendings. And they did manage to achieve all these goals. I mean, Washington and London. They did it, isn't it? They raised Iron Curtain between Russia and continental Europe. They forced European states, almost all of them, to significantly increase or even double defense spendings. And they did demonize Russia, aren't they? So, of course, they knew what will happen to Ukraine from very beginning, but they sacrificed this state, and they sacrifice citizens of Ukraine, because they never care about lives, man. They only care about their own agenda, their own wealth, and influence. That's it. That's what Western ruling elites are for the last 300 to 500 years, not just now, by the way. They are operating this way almost forever. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Ukrainian journalist, by the way, Yuri Nikolaev, President's office in Ukraine did give order to governors, Ukrainian governors, that they should never talk to Zaluzhny. They should never have any talks with Zaluzhny. They should distance themselves from Zaluzhny so that regional elites will not form alliance with the current head of General Staff of Ukraine, General Zaluzhny. Yet again, this is Ukrainian journalist, by the way. This information was reported by Strana UA, Ukrainian media outlet. I did share on my Telegram page this information yesterday afternoon, and once again, yet another step towards internal confrontation in Ukraine. And because Zaluzhny is under heavy pressure on daily basis, I guess it's only a matter of time when Zaluzhny will strike back. At this point, it's only a matter of time when Zaluzhny, and most importantly, his Western backers, mainly in the United Kingdom and also in US, let's say, will strike back. I guess London did persuade the US partners that Zaluzhny is a candidate who will change Zelensky, replace Zelensky. Because initially, according to reports that we were seeing in the media, Zaluzhny had the backing of London, UK's secret services, MI6 mainly, of course, and Zelensky had the backing of CIA and US secret services. But political leadership of US do understand at this point that Zelensky is a used cannon and should be and has to be replaced. And as I understand, dear friends, in US, some groups in the ruling class are probably betting on Budanov, not on Zaluzhny, but on Budanov. And this triangle have been created now: Zelensky, Zaluzhny, Budanov. So UK is backs Zaluzhny. Some parts of US political and military elites or intelligence community also backs Budanov, also backs Zaluzhny solely. But some other part in US clearly are in support of Budanov, because Budanov is a head of military intelligence, which definitely had not just close ties, but basically operated under control and under orders of CIA and US military intelligence. So Budanov is definitely a US asset in the Ukraine, and we are clearly seeing now this triangle formed, and basically civil war has been erupted in Ukraine between these three camps. And yesterday, dear friends, we also received information, many of you are probably already know about it, that wife of Budanov, according to reports from Ukrainian media, wife of Budanov and several officers in Ukraine's military intelligence have been poisoned. Well, I find it strange that wife of Budanov get poisoned. Maybe, of course, target was Budanov himself, I guess. Who the hell is his wife, man? Who cares about this? Whatever she is. But for whatever reasons, it's Budanov's wife and some other officers in Ukraine's military intelligence get poisoned with some heavy metals, according to reports from Ukraine. But this is yet again clear indicator that civil war has begun in Ukraine between these three camps: Zelensky, Zaluzhny, and Budanov. And this conflict is gonna be bloody, for sure. All three camps are criminals, mass murderers, by the way, and they're gonna make bloodshed in Ukraine for sure. So Budanov probably knows what happened, which camp, Zelensky's camp or Zaluzhny's camp conducted this hit on him. Of course, Ukrainian side will try to blame all this story with poisoning of Budanov's wife on Russia, but no one gonna believe in this crap, of course. But Budanov will probably know already which camp, Zelensky's camp or Zaluzhny's camp, did carry out this hit on him, and he will retaliate. Budanov is a mass murderer, by the way. He is a terrorist. He is a terrorist, and he will definitely make some bloodshed in Ukraine. And I guess his target will be Zelensky, because Zaluzhny, I don't think Zaluzhny did targeted Budanov. Zelensky probably did, because Zelensky and Budanov, they both are assets of the West, or assets of the Washington, let's say. And to consolidate support of US establishment, intelligence, military and political establishment around him, Zelensky's camp probably conducted hit on Budanov, but something did go wrong, and eventually wife of Budanov get poisoned, and several officers, probably bodyguards of this person. Name of this individual is Marina Budanova. Well, that's situation in Kiev, by the way. It's a civil war between these three camps in Kiev has already begun. And it will only get messier, for sure. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Ukraine has used chemical weapons, according to Russian Defense Ministry. Yet another very serious topic. So the Ukrainian military has used chemical agents to poison food on 17 occasions since the conflict escalated in February 2022, killing at least 15 people. Russian Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov said on Tuesday. Kirillov heads the nuclear, chemical and biological protection troops of the Russian armed forces. He made the revelation in a speech to the Third Congress of Young Scientists, currently meeting in Sochi. So there we go. Poisoning people. It's a style of Kiev regime, really. Style of Kiev regime, and despite this Western propaganda, despite the Ukraine's propaganda, which will definitely try to blame Russia for this poisoning of wife of Budanov, we all know that in reality it's internal conflict have begun in Ukraine, and they will make big mess. They will make big mess in Kiev. Budanov, especially, by the way, he is head of military intelligence of Ukraine. He is basically indirectly head of these foreign mercenaries that are operating in Ukraine. Also, because all these all these units that are based on foreigners are operating under wings of Ukraine's military intelligence. So Budanov definitely has force in his hands to conduct any type of military operation in Kiev, and not just in Kiev, by the way. Budanov is responsible for killing of Russian citizens inside the Russia. So he's, Zelensky and his associates, they made a big mistake when conducted this attempt to assassinate Budanov and did not succeed. They are now, primary target for Budanov for sure. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Russian president did made quite few several very interesting statements. yesterday, and let me read several sentences from this news from RT. So, there can be no global stability without a powerful and sovereign Russia, President Vladimir Putin said on Tuesday, addressing the International Russian People's Council. The president addressed the organization via video link from the Kremlin, reminding the participants that Russia is both a country and a civilization and has repeatedly been bulwark against those who sought to be exceptional and dominate the planet. We are fighting today not only for the freedom of Russia, but for the freedom of the entire world, Putin said. Our country is now at the forefront of creating a more equitable world order, and I want to emphasize, without sovereign, strong, no listing stable world order is possible. Without sovereign and strong Russia, no stable and lasting world order is possible, which is true, by the way, which is definitely true. Russia is for sure in the forefront on this struggle between multipolar idea of multipolarity, multipolar world, and Western so-called rules-based order in which Western ruling clans or families are dominant force and are trying to maintain this dominance over the globe. Let's continue. Yes, I did report about it. So RT is reporting that Baltic states are going to boycott Baltic states are boycotting OSCE summit that will take place in North Macedonia in upcoming days. Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania have said they will not attend this week's meeting of the Organization of Security and Cooperation in the Europe, OSCE, condemning Moscow's expected participation in the event. The three former Soviet republics announced plans to boycott the upcoming OSCE summit on Tuesday, saying that they deeply regret the decision to invite Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. How are you going to comment this, by the way? This so-called elites in Baltic states definitely are out of touch with reality. After all, we are talking about organization, which name is Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. And what is the point to have an organization of this type if Russia is not participating? What they gonna discuss then? What security they gonna discuss of Europe without Russia, which is a crucial part of Europe. Let's not forget about it. Maybe some people are too bad in geography in the Western elites, so-called elites, including these puppets, man, in leadership of Baltic states, and they don't know where Russia really is. But Russia is a part of Europe. And there can be no serious talks about security and cooperation in Europe without Russia. It's a simple stuff, but these Russophobes, these sick animals really that are in leadership of Baltic states, and not just Baltic states, many other EU member quasi-states, let's say, they cannot understand this, man. They are too stupid, too damn idiots to understand anything at all. But anyway, let's continue. I wonder why, how come that citizens of Baltic nations are not ashamed of this type of people to be their leaders? What's going on here, man? Unbelievable. And same goes for so many European states, man. I truly find it difficult to understand why people are keeping up with this craziness that's happening in Europe. Why? I mean, I don't know. But anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Scholz, by the way, yet another genius of modern European politics, Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, urged support for Ukraine despite a budget crisis. So he was speaking to Bundestag, not Bundestag, but how you call it, German parliament, man. Anyway, Germany's economy must be modernized in order to prepare for unexpected crisis in the future. Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, said during an address to Parliament on the Tuesday. Parliament is a Reichstag building, but anyway, in Germany there are some crises now, by the way, some budgetary crisis and then the economical crisis. Germany is in nowhere good place, let's say this way. And this idiot, Chancellor of Germany, went to Parliament and began bragging about support of Ukraine when he has a huge crisis on his hands. And many members of German Parliament were very much not happy about what Scholz had to say during his speech before lawmakers. But yet again, question is how German society did even allow this to happen, these crazies to become leaders of Germany, like this preacher Scholz, Annalena Baerbock, by the way, another genius of modern era, and many others, man. I mean, and not surprisingly, I mean, who's gonna be surprised that Germany is in bad shape while having this type of leaders? Baerbock, Scholz, and just you name it, man. Anyway, let's continue. Despite significant crisis in Germany itself, Scholz, being a puppet of Washington, continues to pledge some support to Kiev regime and billions, sacrificing interests of German citizens and Germany. That, how crazy is that, you know? But anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that, well, according to Foreign Minister of Hungary, NATO unwillingly but forced to recognize that they lost in Ukraine, and Ukrainian so-called counteroffensive was a failure. And during the summit of foreign ministers of NATO states, this narrative was obvious to everybody. According to Foreign Minister of Hungary, Peter Szijjártó. Well, we all knew from very beginning, and I remind you, dear friends, that, I mean, veterans of our community probably know that I was saying way before this Ukrainian so-called counteroffensive even began that it will be basically beginning of the end of Ukrainian armed forces as a more or less capable entity. I was quite sure that they will achieve nothing and Russian side will decimate Ukrainian brigades. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So no surprises for us in the failures of Kiev regime. We knew that will happen, but some low-level managers in the European states, like foreign ministers, let's say, that are fully controlled by Washington, they may were surprised because, of course, they don't know real strategy of a ruling class of the West. They are just puppets, and they operate in very short segment. They are saying what they are told to say, and they are signing papers that they are basically ordered to sign. That's all their job is. They are intellectually bankrupt individuals, and I'm quite sure many of these so-called foreign ministers of NATO member states were surprised that this Ukrainian counteroffensive failed and the Kiev regime is basically failing. Because they are idiots. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to British Telegraph, come on, man, I jumped several news or what? Okay, now next big topic, Middle East and situation in the Middle East, escalation between Israel and Palestine. So according to Interfax news agency, ceasefire between Hamas and Palestine may be prolonged for another 2 days. Which is great news, and gives entire world the hope that de-escalation may take place. Although, by the way, very same time, Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, makes very different statements, very aggressive statements, and he said that after ceasefire will end, Israeli army will continue military operations, and he is specifically saying that once hostages will be released, Israeli army will continue pounding Gaza Strip with the air bombs, missiles, artillery, and so on. So they are not even thinking, as I understand, to de-escalate. All they want now to achieve a release of as many hostages as possible, and then they will continue military operations. And my take on this crisis. I was saying from very beginning that, in my understanding, Netanyahu's government want to implement in Gaza Strip Karabakh scenario, which means that Netanyahu will try, and his people will try to forcefully remove locals from Gaza Strip, force them to flee to Egypt, and then Gaza Strip will be integrated into Israel, and that's how this conflict gonna end. And probably next stage for Netanyahu and his government, next stage in their plan is the West Bank, which is almost constantly under occupation also. Let's continue. It all depends really, I guess, on the world community, how big pressure from the world community will be and how effective. Because if Netanyahu is free to act, then I guess they will forcefully remove all the locals on the first stage from Gaza Strip, on the second stage from West Bank. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that, according to British Telegram, by the way, in UK now discussion has begun in the government of UK if it's possible to send the money that was received after selling of Chelsea, which was Abramovich's team, to Israel, not to Ukraine, but to Israel. And I remind you, dear friend, that Chelsea used to belong to Abramovich, Russian billionaire, who is also, by the way, Israeli citizen. And because of it, and then British government made decision to basically steal Chelsea from Abramovich. They forced him to sell it, and money supposed to go not to Abramovich but to Ukraine. That was the initial information that we were getting. But now Israelis did ask London if they are willing to send this money instead of Ukraine to Israel, which is quite interesting, isn't it? I mean, Kyiv gonna be furious if that will happen, but yet again, what they gonna do? But information itself is quite interesting, man. Western so-called elites, man, are robbing everybody on the daylight, and they don't really care about the reputation of their countries, about anything really at this point. They are too disgraceful, too degraded. They are total failure and shame of humanity. That's what Western ruling class is, man. Shame of humanity, disgrace, total disgrace. The information is quite interesting, you know. These funds that was received after selling Chelsea may be directed to Israel instead of Ukraine. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that according to Defense Ministry of Iran, by the way, as a result of negotiations between Tehran and Moscow, achievements have been made between the sides, and contracts have been signed for military weapons sales from Russia to Iran. And according to this information, Iran will receive Mi-28 helicopter gunships from Russia. No specific information about quantity of this military equipment, but Iran will receive Mi-28 helicopter gunships, also Su-35 fighter jets, and the Yak-130 training and combat aircrafts that are used mainly to train pilots for Su-30 and Su-35. And Iran, by the way, according to this information, already received some parts of these weapons, which is absolutely true. If you remember, dear friends, I did share on my Telegram channel quite some time ago this photo and video confirmations that at least Yak-130 planes were already in Iran. And I said straight away that maybe Iran will receive not just Su-35s but also Su-30s, which is possibility also because Yak-130s are used to train pilots for both these planes. And the Mi-28s, by the way, they are flying tanks basically, and they definitely gonna increase battle capabilities of Iranian army. So quite interesting news. Relationships between Russia and Iran are improving very rapidly, and approaching level of strategic, which is great for both countries, by the way. Both countries, not just in terms of military cooperation, but also in terms of economical and cultural cooperation, which is also taking place, of course, and developing in a very fast pace. I remind you, dear friends, that both sides are working now on this north-south trade route from Russia to Iran, which is already operating in some scale and will be developed further as time goes by. RIA Novosti is reporting, dear friends, that US is threatening Turkish companies with consequences if they will not stop cooperating with Russia, with Russian business. And this was reported by Aydın Lig newspaper of Turkey. And yet again, no surprises. Washington tries to terrorize everybody, basically. They can, everybody they can. And some states are strong enough to withstand this, and some states are not. And because relationships between Turkey and US are not in the best place at this moment, I guess Ankara don't really give a flying, to Washington's demands. And the Turkish business will continue to closely work with the Russian counterparts to further, increase cooperation, because Russia is a major economical partner for Turkey, and no way around it. And Ankara cannot destroy relationships with Russia just because Washington wants so. It's not happening. Maybe Turkey not in the best shape, and especially maybe because Turkey is not in the best shape economically speaking. They cannot afford losing Russia. They just cannot. That's it. Washington may try to terrorize Turkey, but I don't think they will get anywhere. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting, dear friends, that Finnish government made decision to shut down last border crossing with Russia on 30th of November for undisclosed time period. And well, I guess this is gonna be end of this border crisis between Russia and Finland, because after 30th of November there will be no border crossings between the sides. I guess Helsinki did not find any other solution to refugee crisis. I remind you, dear friends, that citizens of third countries from many regions of the world were trying to use Russia as a transit state to enter Finland, and Helsinki began shutting down its border crossings with Russia to deal with this inflow of refugees or asylum seekers. They did begin shutting down border crossings one by one, and the last border crossing that was operating was most northern one, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere here, by the way, in this area. And well, from 30th of November, that border crossing will also be shut down. And well, I remind you, dear friends, that several days ago I reported Norway, which only has one border crossing with Russia here, will also considers to shut that border crossing, and it will happen, I guess, because these people that were trying to enter Finland now will probably move towards border crossing with Norway. And Oslo, I guess, will not hesitate, and they will also shut down that border crossing. Yet again, of course, this decision, Finland has every right to do whatever they want on their own territory, no questions. If they want to deal with the refugee crisis this way, that's their right. But simultaneously, they are even further destroying relationships with Russia. And these border crossings, by the way, are going to be very costly for Finland, economically speaking. And head of Russian Parliament, Vyacheslav Volodin, did spoke exactly about this, and he said that completely closing the Finland-Russia land border would cost Helsinki up to 3.3 billion USD. So quite a money, isn't it? For any country, really, and I guess for Finland also. But well, it's a political decision. They don't want to receive a big number of refugees from Middle East, Africa, from other regions of the world, and that's how they decide to manage this topic. They shut down all the border crossings. Last one will be shut down tomorrow. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that, well, dear friends, yesterday, if you remember, I reported that Helsinki was considering to automatically denying asylum seeker to people that will cross border, to people that will enter Finland from Russia. And I said yesterday that I don't think this is really, I mean, legal stuff to do. I don't think you can deny people refugee status just because they enter country from this place or that. And I guess Finnish Justice Ministry come up with the very same conclusion, and that's why Helsinki made decision to shut down border entirely. And that's it. RT is reporting, dear friends, that I did spoke about it already. So, well, Russian assets could be confiscated under new EU sanctions, reported by media. So, new package of EU sanctions on Moscow could allow member states to expropriate property belonging to sanctioned Russians that refused to sell it, Finnish news agency CTT reported on Tuesday. Well, one way or another, by the way, but of course, Western ruling elite's gonna try to steal this money, man. They are so desperate to steal this 300 billion or whatever that sum is that they froze. They're gonna steal it. they're gonna create some cringe laws that will somewhat allow them to legalize this stealing. But world is watching, isn't it? World is watching, and I guess everybody is kind of shocked by this really I mean, this behavior of European elites, let's say this way. Let's be diplomatic. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. These people in charge of EU, in charge of EU member states, they vast majority of them don't really care about reputation of their countries. Absolutely. They are destroying reputations of their countries, and just look at this news. They are coming up with this cringe new sanctions, new laws to somehow steal money that belongs to Russia and Russian citizens. Money and assets, by the way. And they will. I have no doubt about it, that one way or another, but they will steal these assets. Or will die trying. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Russia considering grain export ban, which is a huge news. Because Russia is a major grain exporter in this world, and if Russia will, even the consideration of a grain export ban will probably influence prices on grain. And I guess after this information was published, prices straight away went up. I guess. Maybe just a little bit, but just the publication of this news will probably already influence prices on the grain. And if Russia will introduce some bans, partial bans, let's say even, of course that will significantly increase price of grain worldwide. And eventually, let's be clear, it will benefit Russia also and all the other grain producer countries. And well, let me read several sentences here. The Russian government has instructed the Ministry of Agriculture to start monitoring the level of the nation's grain reserves on a monthly basis. Izvestia reported on Tuesday, citing relevant documents. The authorities may introduce an export ban of stocks if stocks fail to critical level. According to report, a volume of 10 million tons of grain is considered by the ministry to be critically low, enough to last for about one and a half months only, given the Russia's annual consumption of 85 million tons of grain. So, well, if grain reserves will fail lower than 10 million, I guess the Russian side will introduce a ban on export of grain, maybe even if reserves fail up to 15 million tons. But anyway, I guess information itself already did increase prices on grain, and well, it will benefit all the grain exporter countries, let's say this way. RT is reporting, as they say, nothing personal, just business. That's how it is, I guess. RT is reporting that Polish farmers, by the way, did join Ukraine blockade. I did report it several days ago that Polish farmers were planning to join truckers that are conducting blockade of border crossings between Poland and Ukraine. And well, there you go. We have a confirmation that Polish farmers did join this protests. Let me read from this news that farmers from Poland's Deceived Village Association have joined the round-the-clock roadblock at Medica, one of the country's busiest border crossings with Ukraine, as a part of major protest against the EU's soft trade policy towards the Kiev. Farmers and truckers have been blocking Medica crossing since Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time. since yes, Thursday from 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. local time. On Monday morning, they began 24/7 blockade of their entry point, which is expected to last until January 3rd. I remind you, dear friends, that according to reports from Ukrainian media, Kyiv regime already lost about $500 million as a result of this blockade from Polish truckers, and now farmers also. Although I will take that information with pinch of salt, because can we trust Ukrainian media or authorities in Ukraine? Of course not. But some economical damage to Kyiv regime definitely was done by these actions of Polish farmers and the truckers. And you may laugh on this information, dear friends, but Ukrainian truckers made the decision to also block the border crossings now from Ukrainian side, and basically create some additional barriers for Polish truckers so that they would not be able to move freely from Ukraine to Poland. Quite a crazy move, really. That will damage probably, yes, few dozens of Polish truckers, but Ukrainian side also, even more. But yet again, something is big time wrong in Ukraine, man, and so much crazy stuff is happening there that at this point it's truly to understand what they really want. I mean, some of the, or majority of the actions in Ukraine are truly illogical, just you know, pure craziness, let's say this way. And this protest action from Ukrainian truckers are pure example. They are creating barriers in Ukraine to protest exactly the similar barriers from Polish side that are hurting Ukraine. So they're gonna damage Ukraine, and they are calling this a protest against Poland or Polish truckers. They are crazy, man. Okay, several Polish drivers will stuck in Ukraine for, I don't know, a week or two, and what? Anyway, let's continue, dear friends. RT is reporting. This is quite a interesting story. Also, CIA retrieved intact UFOs. Daily Mail report, this British tabloid. American spies have managed to recover at least 9 potentially alien vehicles, 2 of them completely intact. The Daily Mail reported on Tuesday, citing 3 anonymous sources. Wow. Okay, let me read a few more sentences. The sources supposedly briefed on the top secret operations told the UK outlet that the main players in the retrievals has been the Office of Global Access, a branch of the CIA Science and Technology Directorate established in 2003. Well, dear friends, this is of course totally BS topic that have been pushed by Western ruling class on the public, all this UFO stuff. I don't know why, what is behind it, but we clearly can see that US or Western Secret Services, mainly US, by the way, US Secret Services and US ruling or Western ruling elites are quite keen to push forward this narrative of some UFO, some aliens, and all that crazy stuff. And even though, by the way, I'm 100% sure somewhere up there in this immense vastness of visible universe, there are probably thousands and even millions of civilizations. Probably. I don't think those civilizations have time for our planet, and I don't think they do really care about us or even know about us. And I definitely don't think that the planes or these saucers or whatever they are were visiting this planet and crashed somewhere, and it's just pure nonsense in my understanding. Pure nonsense, and this narrative have been created. All this UFO stuff, man, this agenda have been created by ruling class of the West and secret services for whatever reasons. I don't know why, but they have some reasoning, I guess. And now, last several years, they are actively pushing this narrative. By the way, that trying and they are trying to convince everybody that it's not just somewhere out there in the space that civilizations probably are existing, but they are pushing narrative that they 100% exists and they visited our planet and even crashed. And according to this news, the CIA branch Office of Global Axis even had several intact these alien ships, which is, I mean, come on, man, we cannot believe this crap. This is pure crap. I don't know why Western ruling elites are pushing this narrative, what they want to achieve, or what what agenda of this UFO topic is. But I mean, it's all false. It's just all false, fake. There is no aliens among us. They never visited our planet, I guess, at least as long as humanity exists. Because we are not even first type of civilization, man. Just imagine civilization that has technology to conduct interstellar flights or flights even on longer distances, intergalactic flights, let's say. Those type of civilizations, for them, we will be as intelligent species as for us are ants. And do we really spend too much time talking to ants and trying to communicate with ants? No, we don't. And why humans are so arrogant that, we think that we are so important, that those aliens somewhere that are like million years ahead of us in every sense, they will find it interesting to speak to us, man. Really? Come on, man. So all this stuff is total nonsense, man. Some alien civilizations maybe know about existence of our planet. Maybe. And that's it. Really. They are definitely not flying around and, But anyway, this is my take anyway, by the way. I'm 100% sure they're supposed to be, man. Universe is so vast. Visible universe is, if I'm not mistaken, like 80 billion light years across. And that's a visible universe. And beyond that visible universe, maybe are like universe is maybe like 10 times bigger, or 100 times or billion times bigger than visible universe. So likelihood that civilizations in billions exists in this vastness is too high. Too high. It's supposed to be. But I don't really believe that these aliens are walking among us and are monitoring this world and are flying with these ships around. I just don't think so, man. It is what it is anyway. This news is gonna be last news for today's update, dear friends. I love to see aliens, man. I love to see some scientific discoveries that will, give us knowledge that they are not just a simple life somewhere out there in a, let's say in our solar system, by the way, on Europe, for example, under ice cap in the ocean, can be like simple life, probably. Maybe some, on some other moons of Jupiter and Saturn also, but confirmation of this will be huge breakthrough for humanity, of course. And of course, it will be interesting to see some aliens, some civilization of aliens and so on, but some intelligent creatures, or humanoids, or whatever they are, man. Why they have to be humanoids necessary? They can have any shape or form. It will be interesting to see this aliens, but sometime in the future, after 100,000, 200,000 years ago, after 200,000 years, when technology of humanity will reach like such a scale that interstellar or interstellar flights will be possible, then humanity will probably meet some intelligent species out there. But now I don't think so. Anyway, let's continue. Interfax is reporting that towards beginning of December, there will be so much snow in Moscow that it will topple average numbers 4 times. So they are average number of snow, and this year, by the way, will be 4 times more. 4 times more. 25 to 30 centimeters of snow we may have in Moscow in the beginning of December, which is yet again, to me personally, it's a good news, because I like snow, I like winter, proper winter, but I do understand that for people who have cars, they're gonna be not happy, because snow gonna create some issues for them, because emergency services are not always able to clean all the streets everywhere in such a huge cities like Moscow. But anyway, this is gonna be the last news for today's update, that in December Moscow will have a record number of snow in the beginning of December. And well, dear friends, I hope you will... Wow, 1 hour and 22 minutes already. Okay. I hope, dear friends, you will find this update interesting. I did try to pick interesting news, interesting in my opinion. That I hope you will also find it interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. This is the only way we can fight back YouTube's algorithm, and for very same reason, if you can, please, dear friends, share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. And if you think this channel, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram are useful, informative, has some potential and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, buy me a coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care.